microphone is muted, and that one is too. So no, it's not. It is muted. Maybe it's the.
Oh, this is funny. Oh, it's yeah. That's fine.
All right, is that maybe better? Okay. So to proceed, so the first thing, the basic components. The first thing you need is a spannable string object. You create one. You can give it some text, and then this is actually the thing that you'll set inside your text view. So once you have your spannable string built, you'll create a span. Here is an example of one called a bullet span. This one addresses a style that applies to like a whole paragraph. So you could say like here's a chunk of text and put a bullet in front of it, and it has like a margin. You go over, it looks nice. And there's like tons of these things all over the place, and you can go and read about them in the docs. And I'll show you a few that are neat. Then the next thing that you want to do is you grab your spannable string that we had from up here, and then we set the span. We replace that span that we created inside the spannable string, and we give it a range. I'm going to say I want it the whole entire length of our sample string, and then we'll make that work. And then the last thing that you have to do is just set it onto the text view, the spannable string that we created. So I'll show you how that works inside of Android Studio. My fancy text project. Okay. All right. So we have here just the same span that I had in my slides, this bullet span, and we have some sample text. We created our spannable string. Let's actually try out this presentation then. That can work. Okay. So we created our spannable string. There's some of the other things we'll get to in a minute. And then we created our inside of our bullet span. We set the span, and at the bottom we set our spannable string. Okay. Exit presentation mode. I'm going to have to re-order them, so I'll just do it this way. Okay. And that, on the old school emulator is what we're going to get to, but I had my designer work on this really hard. So we have a bullet instead of in front of our paragraph. So that's fun. So then what we can do is we come back and we say, okay, in addition to a bullet, we want the Utah County Android developers text to be have a blue background because yes.
I think that must have.
Oh yeah. So this is a specific constructor here. It's the gap width, and this particular span allows you to set the gap between the bullet and the paragraph. Probably pixels. Yeah, you probably have to translate it from DPs to pixels if you wanted to do it right, which I didn't. Yeah, cool. Good question. So each of them will be, and I'll show you how to create your own custom span as well. So this is a blue color span, and it's going to grab that range. So it starts at the index where this occurs, and I counted the number of characters carefully, and this rounds. It's covered by a blue span. Okay, so the other thing is I want to replace the first occurrence of the word Android with an Android. So this is a kind of a cool span where you can actually put a drawable just right inside of this text area, which is neat. I don't know. I imagine it's probably okay. That's usually how I judge things. It's probably okay. It's documented that way too. Java doc, probably okay on performance. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. We just use our little launcher icon, and now we've got an Android instead of the word Android, which is fun. Now this one we're going to get into how to create your own custom span. So let's say that you went through all of the provided spans that are in the SDK, and you're like, this doesn't work for me. We want to have a frame around a certain text range, and so we created this frame span, and this extends an abstract class here, a replacement span, which just has two things: get size and draw. So when you create the span, you remember we create the span, and when we set the span, we tell the spannable string how many characters that we want it to cover. And so it'll do the work of like figuring out the bounding box of where that span's supposed to sit. And then we can come in here and do our own drawing in that space if we want. So in here we're just going to draw a rectangle with our custom paint, which is just a stroke blue. We just draw a rect. You can look up the drawing APIs, and it's pretty simple. And so if we run that, as I'm commenting, right? Now we've got a box around the word growth. So that's cool. Now this is so with your custom spans. Let's say that we want some animation inside of our spans. We don't just want to like set the color or this texture. We want to like use an object animator and actually change it at runtime. So I created this one called mutable foreground color span. And this span is a foreground color span, which is a standard span that is in the SDK. And it allows you to set a color and an alpha. And then it has it overrides update draw state, and it is able to set the color on the text paint. You can set the alpha, you can set the foreground color. You can set the span on the thing, and you can manipulate it. The important thing to know when you're manipulating these spans after you set them on the text view, you do have to then, again, if you change it and you want it to update, you have to go and set the text again on the text view. Does that make sense? Okay. So what we did here is we set up a property for our foreground color span that allows us to set the span's foreground color. That's the value that it gets passed in. So it's going to interpolate between black and red. Here, when we create our object animator, it's an int object animator, so it's going to just save the black integer value all the way to the red, and it's going to animate there with an ARGB evaluator. And this is all kind of animation APIs. Is probably a good topic for another one of these toolbox talks. But in any way, we're going to animate this property, and every time it animates or it changes the span, we're going to reset the span on the text view. And what this is going to do is going to set a pulse between black and red, ping pong back and forth. This would be a wonderful example of high quality design, almost as good as like the blink tag. So it'll go to red, back to black. That's kind of cool, right? All right. So that's the basic ins and outs of how to do this. It's not super complicated. Actually, Jeff and I worked on a project it was a scripture mastery app. Remember when we were at Rain? Remember that one? We used the spans quite a bit. Like they had this really cool thing where you can memorize a chunk of text, and it randomized. It created spans for all of the text, the words in a text blob, and then had a slider for making the different text pieces appear and disappear in random orders, and so you had to memorize the different missing pieces and stuff like that. So there's a lot of really powerful and fun things that you can do with text spans. So just to wrap up, I got a lot of my content from this really great link here. There's a blog, and he has like lots of in-depth discussion on the internal pieces and how this works. And then I've got this basic sample up on my GitHub that you can get, and I'll post these slides to the meetup group later. That's it. Thanks. Okay.
I guess they can see it.
I kind of see your screen from up here, but it's not super focused.
Here, I can just come back.
Okay.
Talk really loud.
No.
I'll switch real quick so that it's easier to read.
We're calling our live broadcasting skills.
Yep. Or wait, that's on you. Oh yeah. Switch it to- Hopefully that's a little easier to read. I don't know how if they're going to be able to see it. Because for whatever reason, my Chrome decided to get upset. All right. Dustin was asking us, a few of us, if we wanted to, if there was anything that we wanted to do in the Android Developer Toolbox. And I thought, well, you know, this would be a good opportunity to talk about animated vector drawables. They're something that is like really relatively new to Android. They were added in Lollipop. However, I have found there are some third-party libraries that will allow you to back compatible or to use these like back all the way to back further than you would ever need to make your application go. Let's just put it that way. So I built this little project based on one that I had previously done, and I just made this activity. It's pretty simple. You come into here. It's an image view just inside of it. I have this drawable that's being drawn into there. We now to obviously animate a vector drawable or animate any kind of drawable, you need a state of where it's going to start and where it's going to end. So we have these two vectors that we've created, the down caret and the up caret. And this path data here, this can actually be extracted directly out of like a vector like an SVG file. A lot of the stuff that I have based my knowledge that where I learned about this, it can be found in a series of articles that I'll get to Dustin so that he can put it up on the meetup page. And he goes through the whole process of how you can actually extract this from an SVG if you want to, and where you find that in the SVG file and all that. But I'll just kind of go over some high level of how it works. So we have this viewport height and viewport width, and as you can see, they're both the same. And this pretty much gives you your grid or your coordinate system that you are going to build your vector inside of. And down here, this is just like a series of like, okay, I'm going to drop it 1045 and then draw a line until I get to, which is like, so this is like 1045, then I'll move down to 50, 85. It's pretty much like an XY coordinate, and then back up. So you get the two vectors set up, and then the important way that it knows what two things are going to animate together is by the group. And you can define these groups however you want, because sometimes your vectors are going to have like more than one path, or they'll have, you know, a whole bunch of different parts that make up the whole thing. And so, but you define it by these groups, and then you come into here and you make just an object animator, which then will animate over the path data. Or you can even do like a translation here. You can translate Y or translate X, or you can do, I think you can even do some like color transitions. It's one of those things where, you know, I learned like this much about it, and I know that there's like tons more capability and a lot more things that you can do with it. And then, yeah, so these, that was our, this is the animator for going from a down position to an up position. And this guy here, this is our actual animated vector. So if you look and see, he tells us which animation to use, what our name is, which this name corresponds to the other one over here, the actual down caret. And we tell it, hey, this is the drawable that you're going to use. So if we go into this main activity, when I come into here and are on create, I grab my image view, and then I set my image drawable as one of these animations that I created, right? On one of these animated vectors I've created. And then, when we click, when it actually gets clicked on it, I'm just checking this Boolean real quick, making sure I have the correct one based on the Boolean, and then you just check to see if it's animatable, and any vector animation or any animated vector will have will implement the animatable, and then you just call start on it, and to just show you, it just does that. The object animator will just run through the path data and then just change the values and animate over to the animatable. So, and there are all kinds of different things. I've seen examples online of like them changing a check mark to an X, and obviously you can see within here, it seems a little bit limited, but I've talked about this before with some of my coworkers, but you could potentially take any two icons and figure out some sequence and animate across the whole thing and animate from one to the other. It'd just be figuring out all the pieces of it, right? Like we had one where we were thinking about doing an X to a check, and rather than just like doing this straight, like this guy gets shorter and moves, like we thought about like rotating him around and lining it up, and then having the other one like grow out of it. And, like there's just a lot of capabilities and stuff that you can use with it, but they're pretty easy to set up, and this code's available on my GitHub page, which I think Dustin's going to link in the meetup. And this is just a really simple example. Also, I'll give him that article. It's like 4 different articles. It's a series. And he makes like a little Android bug, a little robot, and then he makes it like shrug its shoulders and like do a couple other things. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so animated vector drawables. Oh, also I'll give the name of one of those third-party libraries that makes it backward compatible to him, so that he can put it up.
How far back can you go with it?
I don't remember exactly. I remember it was like, I was like, whoa, I don't do anything that far back. Let me see, since Chrome's. Yeah, you can go at least back to 4. So, let me see. What was it called?
I'll have to go back to 2.
Or no. Wow. So hard. So, well, I think it might even be back to gingerbread.
Really? It's a
think
similar
so.
strategy.
amazing.
Remember that timely model markup that had that really cool?
Yeah,
I,
animations for the numbers.
I
Is that
actually
what
used
it was
time.
using?
Like, yeah.
I think I remember they needed a blog post about how they did it. They had, like,
Was it all?
They created like a vector typeface. Animations in different states.
That's cool. Their animations are really neat. Let's see.
So you had those 2 pretty simple shapes. Did it just figure out how to interpolate between those on its
does.
own?
Yep.
But if you wanted to do something like you were describing with the X to the check mark, do you pretty much have to do it frame by frame?
Not frame by frame, but you can figure out like middle points, right?
Okay.
So like we talked about,
Kind of keep it animation.
yeah, like making a middle, so we have one here, and then we make a middle point where it's like that, and then you animate between those 2, and then you make another one where you animate this guy out. So that would take like 3, right?
Oh, wow.
That'd be a really fun product to make. Like, like iOS paint code. Where they
Yeah.
Like, you can draw your stuff in it. It'd be great to have like a tool that generates animated vectors between one and the other.
I expect you to have that ready by the time we
This is
meet
the
next
one.
month.
Okay, so this is the one that I found. Let's see what he says about how far back. Oh, so he does
14
14. 14 plus.
That's plenty.
Yeah, that's all you need. Like I said. And I know that this library comes with some baked in, like this guy and this guy. But there are so many other ones that you can make. It's
Just based on the order of the points in the list.
That was my next question too. Is how does it know like this point goes here?
I think it's just based on the order in the path.
So you're gonna want the same number.
I think so. As far as I can tell. However, there are other things that you can animate on, not just the path data. You can translate, you can rotate, you can. I mean, it's an object animator, right?
Yeah.
Like how open are object animators? You could extend the class and make whatever property you want and then animate over it. But it's one thing, if you are going to back compat, if you're using, and this was a thing that I just found kind of a random. If you are using Gradle 131, yeah, Gradle 131 or higher, Gradle tries to convert all of your vectors into PNGs or something like that. And there's like one line that you can add to your Gradle file that will allow it to build still, because otherwise it tries to do it. It's like, I don't know what, because when you're using that library, you have to use some custom things from the namespace or from like the tools namespace, and it doesn't recognize those when it's trying to convert them. So you have to add one little line. I don't know what that is, but that's another thing. If you guys have questions, hopefully I can get added to the Slack, and then if you guys have questions, you can just ask me. But anyways, that's animated vector problems. At least the small portion.
So with these, I won't take any time to do any like brainstorming because Ronnie and Jen don't have time to do this presentation. But in the meetup group, in the comments and messages, like say, hey, I'd like to hear about this, or like, hey, I'd like to present on this. And we can put together. We did a couple of these for other meetings, so hopefully that was helpful. So anyway, you got it, man. Do I need to?
Okay, so the original plan was to talk about coordinator layout. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't sign up to do this because I'm an expert on it. I just thought it sounded interesting. I was a little underwhelmed at what it can do. Well, that's not true. Like I was saying before, I think it can probably do a lot, but there's not a lot out there about, the documentation is pretty sparse. The examples are all exactly the same. It looks like it could be really powerful and really cool, but I think it's going to take some time for it to get wide adoption.
Is it?
You want me to switch my theme? Is that going to be best?
Is there just one light button in here?
Yeah, it's like it.
Surprisingly not.
You either get up to crazy bright or
Need to bring in the lamp.
Is that better?
yeah, that's much better.
Can you increase the size of the text?
I had to turn on a setting that lets you do like mouse wheel.
I don't have my
Oh,
You go to view and just go to presentation mode.
So do you hold down command in Zoom? How do you do that?
Just works.
My pitch
Just like within your.
Mine doesn't work.
Oh, yours works. It's all good, right?
My computer just knows control.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I tried to put just a few different things from the design library in this example. I did a little bit with the recycler view, which I also hadn't experimented with yet. It's great, but I mentioned in the Slack channel to somebody that I was hoping that we could make this a bit of a discussion. I ran into some issues with recycler view, and I wondered if maybe you guys have had good experiences with it, maybe help answer some questions there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though my name is in gigantic letters on that thing, this is going to be a lot more like these smaller presentations that we just had, because my knowledge is pretty limited. So who has used recycler view then already? So like everybody. It's so cool. All right. So I don't know if you can even see it in the, how do you get out of presentation mode? You have to do it this way? Okay.
We were saying if you use Control Tab.
Okay. I just got a little funny. So get these weird artifacts sometimes. Oh, they just kind of stick around.
I think I know.
Up
Go to
here.
your adapter.
Okay.
On mine now. Yeah, so there is a on detach or something like that. Like if you click under your own blank view over, and now
On detached?
on
On
detached
you
from,
detached from window or on detached from recycle?
on detached from recycler view. So this, you use this to refresh your view. So when they get recycled, they don't maintain the state of the last item that was using it.
Okay.
So that could be causing some of your problems. We had a problem in our app where we switched to a recycler view and we had these toggle switches, right?
Yeah.
And when you scroll, it would change the toggle state on some of the items, which was then a problem because then it would like send it up to our platform.
Right.
It's like turning things on and like,
Yeah, I've run into that before, just in a regular list view with checkboxes, but
yeah. So it's the same kind of an idea. And so it could be that you need to do something in there.
yeah.
I've seen problems like that.
I didn't see it all the time. I don't.
You have an animator on those items. I didn't know that you would be able to take it down there.
Well, it's just the default glide behavior. So maybe there's something there.
And it may just be that that animation needs to like be canceled. It
Yeah.
gets detached or something.
Glide's supposed to do that for you automatically. As soon as you change anything on the view, it's supposed to take care of that for you. But something is not lined up. And maybe it has to do with this here. I'll have to look into that some more. Anyway, well, so let's talk about coordinator layout then a little bit. We can skip over the recycle views since you guys are all experts. Well, actually, before we go on, if you don't mind me talking about it a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. There's some extra things with coordinator layout and recycling together.
Yeah, but there can. I don't think I took advantage of any of it. But
Using this, you had to use your recycler with coordinator layout.
I didn't have to. You can use an embedded scroll, something like that.
Yeah,
Scroll view.
nested scroll.
Nested scroll view. That's what it is. You can use that. But you have to use some special properties in your XML to indicate that it's attached in some way. Well, so this grid that I did here, I ended up explicitly setting the size of these views, these image views that go in here. Is that necessary? Did I have to do that?
You wanted them to be square.
Well, I want them to be square, but I couldn't find anything with,
For some reason,
nobody else who does grid layout managers in any example ever has to set the size. It just works.
Yeah, you can set the column count,
Yeah.
and then it will do it. Except that the grid layout manager won't make them square for you, like uniform sized. For that, on mine, because I have a grid like this in my app, we have to use I just created a custom layout, but on on measure. Yeah, on measure, I set the dimensions as
Set the height,
I set
the width.
Yeah. And then I just extend that from my height of view.
Yeah.
It works.
Okay. And that's,
Yeah, so so you created your grid layout manager. If you captured that variable that has a method called set column count. And in fact, you probably were setting it there.
yeah, So I'm setting that there, but in order to get them to actually be square, and it was super janky, really slow until I set the size.
Interesting.
Like I couldn't even scroll like 6 rows and it would just stop dead in its
I
tracks.
don't know anything about the performance wise, but to get mine square, I had to have my own custom layout.
So there's way smarter ways to do it. I'm doing it based on the width of the window. But it would be better to do it based on the width of the column. Anyway. Okay. Well, let's take a look at Okay, so we've got the whole thing wrapped in this coordinator layout. Not much to that. So the app bar layout is a specific one having to do with the things that you're going to do with your toolbar at the top. App bar layout is just, it extends linear layout, a vertical linear layout. You can put whatever you want in there and animate it or make it do things. So this one has this collapsing toolbar layout. It's got an image and a toolbar. So you can put an image in there and the toolbar. And then you're going to want to set the toolbar as your set support action bar to get all that to line up properly. And then we've got this floating action button that's anchored to the app bar. And you anchor it, give it an anchor gravity, bottom right. That's what puts it down. That's what anchors it right here. So and then there's some properties that you set on the toolbar to tell it what to do when you want it to, when it's animating. So the collapse mode for the image view is to do a parallax. And remember, check to see what the other options are. I don't know how to get those to it. I'm not sure what that means. You can look at it. Yeah. So that's going to stay. I'm guessing that if the image is pinned, it's probably just going to move up. It's not going to stay put. Like a pin. So let's take a look at that. So the parallax, so that it kind of stays in place. Everything goes around, it stays the same size. So let's take a look.
Maybe the pin is what makes the toolbar stay at the top as you scroll.
Yeah, that's right. So pin just pushes it out. Those are your only two options. Okay. So my recycler view here, this is what kind of attaches it to the bottom of the app bar layout. This layout behavior is the important thing. And that's just a string over here that tells it what to do. Basically wires up the scroll behavior. Let's see, that way.
I thought it's an interesting thing that you can do there with the behaviors where it's just a string that specifies that folder called like class path.
Yeah.
And then at runtime it's able to go and grab that and install that behavior. You can add the behaviors from code. The first time I saw it, like a class being specified as a resource.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, that was interesting to me too. I've never seen anything done that way before. So that is pretty much it with coordinator layout that I got into. Does anybody know of anything else that you can experiment with this? Has anyone done anything with it before?
I actually got a day coordinator layout saved me. I just coded a quick demo app, and I wanted to have a snack bar pop up. Something happened, but it was hiding behind a keyboard, and I couldn't see where it was. I wasn't using a coordinator layout at all, because I hadn't expected to use a snack bar. And then as I tried, so I just actually added inside my list viewer where I just put in a coordinator layout. And the snack bar worked just fine with the keyboard. I didn't have to like configure too much. So that instance is really convenient. It's probably inefficient to just throw that whole layout inside all the other elements, but for me, the layout is done.
A pretty common use of the coordinator layout. I didn't end up getting this in. If you've got a floating action down here at the bottom and then you show a snack bar, you want to move that button up when the snack bar comes up, and the coordinator layout makes that really easy. You don't even have to look at it.
I had to dive in pretty deep.
I remember you brought that up. Were you able to work out your?
Yeah. So our app is kind of like this, where it's got a expandable type title up here. And we use that for like when we're out with photos and videos. This is where the overall progress is shown, and then as you scroll it, doesn't parallax disappear. And then it has like an progress that was pinned at the bottom. And the thing is like the standard widget works if your design is that it's shown automatically. If you want it to be hidden by default and only shown when something happens, then it's like it doesn't do that at all. And so
if you want it to be like this by default,
yeah, and then if something happens, then it like animates down, and then you can scroll away. And then, so that was our requirement, and so I had to go in and create my own behavior. So I had to go and look at the source of like the scrolling behaviors that they have there, and I had to go and write my own behavior. And I feel like that was like that was probably like the genius that they have behind this particular component is that like the constituent like sibling components inside the view don't have to know a lot about each other. Right? But the behavior itself is like here, this is like a scrolling behavior, so it can like send out like I scroll this much, and like there's different pieces can determine whether or not they will respond to scrolling events or other kinds of properties that get changed. And so yeah, it was. I can't say that I can talk super intelligently about it because it was a lot of just like trial and error because it's complicated code. I felt like it was more complicated than I would appreciate, but there's definitely if you don't have to do anything custom and you can use one of your built-in properties, then it's a huge benefit. But if you write your own properties, it's fairly involved.
Yeah, but maybe that down the road, after people have like really had a hold on this, because this is fairly new.
Yeah.
We'll have a lot more behaviors defined as far as like the community, right? Because that seems to be a pretty popular trend with Android development. People come out and say, "Oh, well, look what I did with this, and this is how I did it," and everybody, grabs on.
Yeah, and that's the depth that I would think you kind of need to be able to take advantage of something like this. It's nice that they give you this kind of thing almost for free. I mean, there's so little that you have to do here.
It's even a template project now.
Yeah. Really? This
Yeah,
thing?
in Studio, if you go to get a new project, it has a template for it. So
That would have saved me some time, but I learned more, probably. You would never know.
Awesome. The funny thing is, it looks just like this project.
That's great. Yeah, I think coming up with your own behaviors and stuff, that's going to be that's when it gets cool. So I did put a snack bar in here. I can get this to stay down. I've used those a little bit, like for undo action. They're pretty great for that. It's nice to just have a really consistent way to do that. Does anybody need to see how to create a snack bar? Not done that.
I haven't. Cool to see.
I wrote my own snack bar, and then 2 days later it was Google I/O where they announced the snack bar.
So it's very similar to how you create and show a toast. The main difference is you don't give it a context when you create it. You give it a view. But otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same.
Which view are you giving it?
It's the one from the click listener.
Okay.
And now I don't remember where you add the action. Is it just is this how you do it?
You can do dot add action.
Oh, is that how it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Disappointed in Google. Make you say show still.
Yeah,
So
is
where
it
it's
dot
like
add
that,
or dot
like
set?
It's so bad that they have an int rule for it now. If you create a toast and you don't say show, it'll tell you.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you probably meant to say show.
Click show.
When have I never wanted to say show? Show the same thing.
How many times have you like typed out the sentence, hit run? Why is this click not working? It's like, well, because you're not showing.
Carried on the noble tradition of useless. I've tried to. You should show it to us.
You should probably put those there.
Yeah. Or find another snack bar.
Shaming them.
See if the coordinator would stack it.
Yeah, fire that snack bar.
I wonder if the coordinator would.
Nice recursion.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
Let's call it. Let's call it snack bar. Snack bar.
That seems like a bad idea.
So, when they pass in the view, is that just so that they can grab a context off of the view?
Probably how it gets the behavior.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, hold on to your butts. That was boring.
I guess that makes sense, because when you click the button, it usually dismisses the snap.
You should reference the original view in this creation of the second one.
Oh my gosh,
That'd be a good idea.
that's getting insane. Make it final.
Again, it seems like a bad idea.
Let's try to.
If that works, then cascade and toast.
Oh, yeah.
Well done, Google. Today.
All right.
Really good ones
Watch it opens up in the secret developer portal. You are now a Google developer.
Congratulations, these ones up and like something like a job application.
Yeah. It'll be fun to build like an Easter egg into like an SDK. Yeah. It'll be fun. I bet there's one.
So one of the other things that I put in to this example app is this little transition.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. Those are kind of fun to do.
Way cool.
Um,
Is that to a new activity, or is that?
yeah, it's a new activity.
Yeah, I like
Used them a little bit, and they're kind of fun, and it's amazingly easy to do.
it's like the easiest thing.
So we'll go over that. Is this new to anybody?
Yep.
Yeah, I've done it like one time.
Okay.
I tried to do it once and it didn't work. And then I had time. It's
All right.
That does look easy.
Yeah, this is pretty much all of it right here on this side of it anyway. So you need to send in your image. So there's kind of two parts of it. You're giving it a view, but you're also providing a way to recreate that view for Reels on the other side. So I'm sending the image URL in as an extra to the activity I'm transitioning to. And then in this make scene transition animation, I'm giving the view, and this right here is like the tag, like the shared element. Sorry. And so you create these options and then you pass these in to this start activity or result. And that's it. That's all you have to do on this side. And then in the destination, you set the transition name, which matches the one that comes through, and that is all.
You have to do some stuff in XML to set the shared element.
No, that's what I'm doing here
That's
with
what
this.
you put in this bit tag.
You can set it in XML.
Yeah.
On this side, this right here, I could do that in.
So yeah, you have like two
Yes.
static things.
I don't remember what the.
Is that 100? Is that just the request
here,
code?
so if I did. that would eliminate the need for this here.
This is an API 21 thing, right?
No, this is an app.
Oh, this is an app version?
Yeah. Yeah, but this is the only one I've ever used.
Is it one of those
So
like sauce app compats where it like doesn't crash on old versions, but it doesn't work either? Or
Yeah, it just doesn't do anything.
Okay. So it's the same as if you did it.
it'll just start activity.
It'll just start it up and
just bring it.
Yeah, like a crossfade or something. Right?
But it's not like a backport.
that's it.
I remember them talking about how you had to do that before the library. They basically had to like start your other activity in like transparent mode, with, like you had to like pass in the extras of like the window rectangle of the elements. And,
Yeah.
And then you had to animate the thing and at the same time crossfade.
Yeah, if you wanted to do it by hand before they added it to the.
Yeah, it was ugly before. That is pretty much it. You guys are all experts on recycle view, so I don't have anything to talk about there.
Another tip though is when I first tried to do the expandable toolbar, I tried to use list view because that's what we were using at the time. List view doesn't work. Really? Because recycler view knows about the behaviors and that you can attach behaviors to it. List view doesn't. Okay. Old. So yeah, you have to, if you want the scrollable, if you do a nested scroll view or recycler view or something of your own make. Okay. Something that knows how to grab the behaviors and then attach to the correct behavior and respond to the events that it posts.
So in your experience, I don't know if you've compared them, but is recycler view more performant than like grid view, for example? That's what I'm using now for my thing that looks like this. I just wonder if it would be worth. They say it is, but it seems like it's all it's really doing is just making some of the view holder stuff. It's doing it for you. It's
Yeah.
enforcing it.
And it forces view holder. I think that's the reason why they say it's more performant because people weren't doing it.
Because people aren't using view holder.
Okay.
Because it was a pattern that you just had to know about.
Yeah.
People know about it. Right? Use the optimization, but the recycle view makes you do it.
Okay.
I'm not sure about performance.
Yeah. The one thing that I think hurts my performance a little bit is I need kind of a header over groups of in my grid, and grids don't support that natively, so I kind of have to fake it, like make two of my grid items look like a header. And just transitioning between those is work.
So I think
You can do that in a
There's a really
recycler.
good, yeah, as far as the, yeah. But
Yeah, you can add a header.
before then though, there was some other hacks that you could do.
list view made it a little bit easier because you can get like your view type,
Yeah.
but grid view I don't think has that. And it doesn't really work for me anyway because I need to span two columns. I don't know.
What we did before was there was a pattern in the Google I/O scheduler app that you used one adapter inside of another adapter, and there was like a sections adapter, and then there was like the content adapter. There was the underlying adapter, and you would figure out the sections adapter would know like where the indices for the section headers were, and then otherwise it would delegate to the internal adapter to find the new items.
Yeah.
So that when it needed to render a section header, it would do its thing. So it can insert the views where they need to be or span the columns that need to span. So we were actually using that for headers. It's easier to manage so that you don't have to do a lot of extra management code. Just have some base classes for nested adapters.
Yeah.
That's really
Interesting. Yeah, this grid is probably one of the most complex parts of the app. I've got to do reordering
Yeah.
all kinds of nasty stuff, and it's getting heavier and heavier.
So,
It's just one goal.
so in recycler view with the header spanning two columns and the content underneath, having multiple columns, I've never like, so I've tried to just do it on my own a couple times, but it seemed like I needed like a custom layout manager to get something like that to work. Because if you're just using like their default grid manager, there's nothing that's like,
Yeah, it's-
hey, tell this guy to span two columns.
Yeah, it's not the grid layout manager that you use for that. It's
Oh, do they have one?
Staggered.
Well, I thought the staggered was just the same as a grid, but they just, some items could be bigger and they just don't line up.
The example that I found was using that, but it was for headers and then normal grid images. Maybe there's probably a dozen different ways to do it, but that was the example.
Another cool thing about recycler views is the decorators that you can attach to
Yeah.
the views, which is really nice.
That and the item managers are nice too.
You have to handle your own clicks though.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me. An item click. Yeah, this felt kind of gross. Putting this
Yeah.
in my on create view holder. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't need to put it there necessarily, but it just kind of felt wrong.
Well, one way that you can do it is define someone else and then just change it.
Yeah, right. I saw some examples of
Yeah.
just wiring of interfaces, so it's not all,
Yeah, so it's not like every time you,
which would be better, but
yeah.
as you can see, I did not have a lot of time for this.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to try or talk about?
A couple things. So for the group, next month we have another meetup. So what we're doing is planning on the second Thursday of every month to be able to meet. We're scheduled here, but if there is interest in having another company sponsor meetup, then I'm open to move it around in places. It's convenient here because I just work in the fourth floor and like I'm here to like get the pizza and the food and make sure the door is open and stuff. So, but if someone wants to, hey, like it'd be cool to have it in my company, and we'll do the food and you guys come here, then let me know. We'll make that happen. I think that's a great thing. There's a lot of great tech companies around here. January's meetup is going to be on a project. It's a language using Kotlin for Android development. I don't know anything about Kotlin other than people say it's awesome. And apparently our presenter is using it 100% in his Android app for the past while, and he swears by it. So I asked him, like, hey, I don't know anything about this. Would you be willing to present? So it's been a few months in the works, and so I'm looking forward to it. It should be great. We do want to have a couple more Android Toolbox talks this next time. So if you'd like to do one of those, please contact me or post in the meetup group, and we'll schedule those in. And yeah, so I think that's as far as items go. But we have this room all the way. The locks will remain open until 8, and I'll be here as long as anyone wants to hang out and just kind of chat and talk about cool stuff. So let's meet each other and talk about stuff. So thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. Thank you. Is anyone who wants to be part of the Slack group that's not?
I just sent you a Slack message. Slack group.
Okay. Slack. If you're not, then let me know, and I'll also make Michael add on the Slack group. What's the? It's Utah Android. It's not Slack.
Assuming I can get my emulator to run, I have some show.
We do.
Recycler view.
Oh, cool.
Do you guys seen Visor.io?
It doesn't work on my phone.
some reason. And maybe it's a marshmallow incompatibility.
Yeah, that's,
It's like, no.
if everyone's gonna mess with me, then I'd rather, it's not really the kind of.
Have you guys, I started using a library called 310 ABP. It's a backport of the new Java datetime libraries in Java 8 all the way back. And it's Jake Wharton made it, and it's amazing. Like, it's really cool. Like, working with dates and calendars is just like a nightmare in Android. It just doesn't make any sense, and like you always like, I'm so confused. At least I am. Anyway, it's like a really cool library that is super well organized. It follows the Java. It's called 310 ABP because that is the spec number for the JSR 310. It's trimmed down. There is another version of that library, the official one that works on Android, but it's a lot bigger. It's a lot heavier. This one's smaller. It's built for Android, and I'm having a great time using it. I thought it was cool. Yeah, it's almost like he has like a team of people that he just like pays to develop a bunch of libraries.
We use Auto. It's
It's good stuff. In my Gradle, my build script, I probably have like this Jake Wharton.
right.
Yeah, we all do.
So we use in the Vivint app. We use the recycle view quite a bit. We actually built an adapter that is pretty generic for us, so that if we need like a new screen that we know is going to be scrollable, we can just like build the content on the fly and feed it through it. It's okay.
I had to subclass the app bar layout, and then I had to create a bunch of extra like custom behaviors.
Okay. Oh, is that for your
our group behavior? Yeah. It was interesting to have to do.
Okay. Is that the one like
Yeah.
where it's
I
offline?
heard you asked a question that you didn't know which way was
And then when you upload
to
stuff,
show your view. I'm wondering if you try using history.
I have, but not recently with this. And so I'm familiar with it, but I haven't used mine.
So I remember all the service tools when they were doing things in iOS. Like, sometimes like something similar to Android. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
it's good. It tells you like on the method level what's using up the most time. And I'm hoping that I get some time to really dig into that. But we're just a little startup, and it's like you do
So
everything all
we
at
had
once.
this
I never have time to do the stuff I want to do.
aim for the 80%.
The first developers that worked on our app.
And fix the 20%.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was
We
like
got
the
this
first
big,
like
huge update
first
out.
5 or
dealing
6
with
developers that worked on it.
Yeah.
Didn't
The
know
one
Android
person
at all.
QA team who's doing
So,
iOS, Android, and
One of
web.
the big
It's
things
like,
that we had
this
to
isn't
do
working. We had two,
was going into
but we
our
lost
release.
one of them just yesterday. So
There was
yeah,
main
so I do
activity,
the Android app all by myself,
instance
and the
built
web
on it.
app, it's all Angular. And
There was reference
So you look like context.
all
That's how we
over
do
the
it.
place.
Actually,
Right?
And I never have time to
we had a
really dig in.
we had a global
Your
version
brain
of
is
our
so
applications like
fragmented. Now it
Oh
goes.
no. Oh no.
Yeah, drop the mouse on the phone.
phone.
Your brain is so fragmented between the different development environments. Sometimes you get enough time to really just like shift gears and start building up highway.
Sometimes I do. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
always do this and that at the same time. But like this week, we're trying to get a new product out at the very beginning of the year. And for Android and even more so on iOS, we need to get the release out now so everybody has upgraded in time by the new year. You know, because it takes a week for the review process. Android, there's no review process, but you still have to wait for people to actually install the update. So we have to get it out fast. And then the web, you know, we can do that all the day before. Just push it out. But yeah, but once that's out, I should have some more time to deal with this.
So you're saying that Your Android version is not the same as the iOS, or the iOS gives you a sheet that you're working on. It doesn't give you that same week.
No,
I haven't published it.
We need this in our
okay,
app.
for iOS,
We need this.
an actual person installs your app and tries it before it actually gets released. Google does not have that. You say go, and as soon as it propagates to the servers, it's live. There's no, that's, I mean, it's a quality thing. You know, it's really nice for if there's a problem, you can get it fixed immediately on Android. On iOS, you need to be sure that things are good because it's another week to get a fix out. I mean, you can say this is a major, like a critical bug fix release, they'll push it through in a day. But they won't, you can't do that every time. And every time you do it, they say, don't do this again. You know, so,
Repro, yeah.
but that's, so I have an extra week generally to get things implemented.
I've got a sort of a swipe and drag to reposition.
Wow.
Which works out okay because I'm also doing web app, so.
And it was actually surprisingly simple to implement. I'll show how it's done.
We're trying to get somebody else to,
There's just a,
we actually are in
the
the
premise of this
process
app
of
was
transitioning the web app
that
to
there's a
another
shared
guy.
footage of work.
So I can
I was
focus
keeping
solely
some
on
soda in
Android.
there.
That'll allow
And
me
I
to
thought someone was going,
hopefully
yeah, I thought someone was going missing, so I was like, I'll just track that. I'll create an app for
Yeah.
that. So basically this is just a recycler
It's kinda
view
nuts.
with cards in it. And
I'm sure your
I
job's
guess
the
another
same
cool
way,
feature of it
you know,
is
you come to work
having the
thinking
ability
you're
to
gonna do
interact
some
directly with.
when
That's
you
what
go
I think is
home,
probably the best part of the
that's
cycler
like
view.
Yeah,
Is that like no longer do you have like some sort of like
Yep.
hidden
But it's
voodoo
fun.
of doing
I like
nested
it. I like
touchable things inside of the
Yeah. Either you
collection, you know,
work that way
before it
or
was
you
like,
can't.
hey, do I want this?
You have to be able to
Yeah.
work at a place like that.
Now it's just, hey,
It's fun.
you can
It's
take
just
a
kind
look
of
at you, kind of like that you got hands on.
Yeah, it is.
And that's what's great. And so, yeah,
There's
it's like
still a
I
lot of
mentioned,
guys
it's
out there
like,
that just can't handle that, you know.
just manage itself.
Very defined.
Yeah, so you've done,
Schedule.
I need
You
to,
know,
yeah, snack.
We're getting to this milestone on this
You
date.
can,
You know, and they rarely
swipe
hit it,
them away,
but
they go away.
it's very predictable.
And then the other thing you can do is click on
right now.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Those, but
Yeah.
that's, they never
Wait,
get
you have this
nothing real. You know, get really nimble and be able to break
Yeah,
stuff.
we'll do. I can show you the code, it's really straightforward. Wrong activity,
We're small and
there it is.
we can,
So it's something called
mistakes and
item
recover,
touch helper.
but so you guys have bigger.
And I don't know which library that's
stuff.
part of. I think it's part of the recycler view. But anyway, it comes with the callbacks, and you can do on move or on swipe. And all you do is handle it, you get a front position and target position for on move, and that's your drag and drop, essentially. And then you just have to update your list once you do that, and then on swipe is, you just move and explain the list.
That's awesome.
It's super simple. I
It's
was
like,
kind of
hey,
surprised.
our designers have some things that they want us to do that way. Does it have to be cards? Or can I put whatever I want?
Yeah, it can be whatever. Mine is, my field it just happens to be a card, so.
So like, our designers. Started writing us, and then we have like all sorts of stuff that I had to do in my. So like, I was like, sorry, we're not gonna do it.
Yeah, it's, like, I think total here, we've got, I mean, I don't have like the fancy animations I do. Yeah, total, there's still like 12 lines.
Well, the fancy animations like what?
Well, it came with some, like.
It's good to be able to do that, but it's not like, it's just not sustainable.
Different,
It's like it looks fine and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, so anything big,
Yeah, it's also better.
Our guy who does the iOS now, he started his career doing a bunch of contracts. They would
Yeah, and like you may have it.
plan on like every line of code took this many.
yeah, but you can just change.
Yeah.
It takes a certain amount of time to write it.
Oh, yeah.
Progressed, and it was just,
So I didn't do any of
it
that.
had to be perfect. Because I had to do with guiding systems, landing airplanes.
It's like a miniature.
I don't know how you can work on that kind of condition, that stress. getting it exactly perfect all the time. The quality support doesn't any job you do, but understanding wise,
It's a matter of
In addition to
putting your brain
yeah,
in
like to try
full
to
like high gear all the time
I was tempted by that.
and disciplining your body.
That's what
to not be
Frank
lazy.
was saying.
Yeah, like when guys take 15 minutes to go sit and talk around, it's like, where are we going to you go back to the side, I've got 15 minutes on the fact check, but I did it real quick. It's just re-engaging yourself, and it's true. It's discipline.
yeah.
Like, I should not be eating this candy bar right Yeah.
So are you looking to do make a career change, or you just experimenting?
At some point, somehow I'll get to my own real estate company. So I was outside.
Did you transition into this in like 2008?
You had a question, I was gonna pull you over.
That one happened. I have no
Oh,
idea.
yeah, closer, remember, like,
Not surprised.
And so I was always kind of fooling
That's
around
funny.
with programs. And I started taking some classes here and there between 2008 and 2010. I was still too green to really work in any programming. Everyone was fighting.
I don't know anybody.
What is it?
Programs and
PTSD.
it's all
They were
stacked
afraid of
over.
it. It was
Like,
like,
just going online and see, and then just powering through it so I can figure it out. Now I've got somewhere where I can.
So were you Air
ask
Force?
questions? It sounds like it's too busy.
It was the best time of my life. I was totally do it again. It's not bad. It's just.
Saturday or something?
Yeah. So I don't know all the terms, but were you like
I mean,
fully
and
enlisted,
even if it's a couple of days.
deployed, and all that kind of stuff?
You know, it's better than
So the guy I work with,
not having that
he was
resource.
a reservist in the Marines for like 8 years, but he didn't ever actually go. You know what I mean?
Fallback jargon.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it was, it sounds like he still had a great experience, but it's not quite the same.
I say this every day. I wanted to stay big. All branches do something to go in this cycle. The government's like, we're spending, companies do it, and track. Like, sure, the government doesn't too. Yeah. And so we go look at people in physical positions, where can we now, that kind of okay, let's start making these really weird rules. And everyone who's had a body trade marches out. Everyone that can't pass their physical fitness out. Anyone that doesn't pass like this type of test out. And then, okay, we're out of excuses, so just start denying people. And then they're like, oh crap, we did it for too long. Bring it back in, bring it back in, bring it. Oh no, the sponge is too fat. Kick them out, kick them out, kick them out. Oh,
Yeah.
too lean, swell the sponge. And then they go on these swells. So I got stuck right in the middle of it.
Yeah, well, my friend, he experienced that. Like when he signed up, they needed being unfamiliar with how it all works. I'm not going to be able to remember exactly what happened to him. But there was a certain position that he thought he was going to be doing, and then he went and did a mission for 2 years. And when he got back, the cycle had swapped.
Right.
So they had too many of that. So they needed something else.
They threw me over. I went under a contract, so I knew what I was getting, but I had taken an entrance exam with different skill sets, and I scored really high. So and I said, no, you're going to put it in writing. I'm going to sign here, and you're going to give me this job where I'm walking out the door. Okay. Wow. So I got it. Yeah. And I went and did it. And
Yeah, he still ended up in the same place, but an order in which he received the training was swapped or something. It's pretty strange. But it has to do with those cycles.
And it probably had to do with guys leaving for 2 years. Well, and depending on when and where, right?
It's a big UI change.
The combat situations, we
Like
like to see them know one of the first things that they do is called stop
Does. And,
Meaning,
but with it,
we don't know if this conflict is going to be hanging heavy and bloody, or if it's going to be light, so for stop loss, and you think you're out, there's still my contract, but you're staying with. And so what happens
Yeah, it is.
is, most people
It's like-
really,
it's like-
most people
If we know
go
it's
4
so
years,
big,
and what that means is
so
4 years
like
behind,
behind the scenes stuff,
4 years inactive,
you're
we
like,
can call you when there's no
right.
kind of thing.
you're gonna have this new
Well, with
UI.
a stop loss, you go like, well, you still got 4 years left of your contract, buddy, so you're staying active.
Yeah, no
Because
problem.
it's 4
We'll
years
see it.
until we say that. And the stop lost a lot of people, and that helped the swelling of how many people realized that the competition was really good. So we started to go look at them.
Oh, okay.
On
On,
services.
So, you put it in.
Yeah.
We just gotta
So,
think about
so
like, the conflict of the daily
it's
thing,
yeah, a little bit.
depending on which maybe it's
The
not.
first thing was to learn the job, so I think that's a good job.
I want to start really losing that parents over it's like you have all these different things. So yeah, it's you know, and we were never the ones making the decision. Once your chief's established bit, they're sitting around.
So.
It dictates how.
Yeah. I think we're still broadcasting this. Sorry, everybody. You're